Hi, seniors. Let's take a look at this assignment for rationing versus prices. This was an assignment number 3. It's in week 33, and it was called the Rationing Group Presentation. And the idea being for this assignment was to work as a team in the classroom, put together a PowerPoint presentation, and then, of course, present that to the class, which unfortunately we are not able to do. So don't worry about making a PowerPoint. We're not going to do that. What we'll do is just go over it right now so that you can think about it and get an idea and a feel for what it was that we were trying to accomplish, and just to help gain a better understanding of the difference between prices and rationing, and why prices really are the most effective way to distribute goods and services throughout the economy. I do want to add, well, while it is a very effective way to distribute goods and services prices, it's also very efficient, but there are times when it's more effective to actually use a rationing program. And so that's some of the other things that we'll take a look at as we go through and have this discussion about rationing. Let's take a look at this here. Some of the basic things that we had set up were 3 pencils. And these are the only pencils that can be used to complete a test. And so then we put out some guidelines. You can't break the pencils into pieces, but you got to find some way to create a rationing system, something other than prices. So you can't sell these pencils, but everybody needs to have a chance to utilize them. And so we set out some parameters here to make it kind of easy. We'll say there's a total of 15 students in the class. And the reason we're picking this is just because multiples of 3 makes it a little bit easier to do your math. There's no trick here. There's different ways that you can come up with figuring out a way to make it equitable to use the pencils. And then we said, okay, you got an hour to take the test, so you got 60 minutes. And then you need to take a look at different ways of doing this. So first question was, what is rationing? So hopefully you've been going through some of these videos here and talking about the difference between rationing and a price system. So rationing is just a way to distribute goods and services without charging a price for it. And there's examples of that in the economy now. You know, you have the WIC program, Women and Infant Children program. Those particular products are rationed out based on certain needs. And so there's rules that govern that. And one of the disadvantages of rationing is that you got to follow the rules, and then somebody has to manage the rules to make sure that everybody's getting their fair share, if you will. So it makes it a little bit tough. So it's the same thing here. I mean, if we had a rationing system for these prices, for the pencils, we just say whoever, we could just have an auction. Who wants to get an A on the test? You get a pencil. Whoever pays the highest price gets it. But that's not a rationing system. That's a price system. So a couple of ways that you could approach this, get my pen working here, is, let's say, you could put the class into teams of 3 teams of 5 students each. 3 teams that include 5 students. You could let each team have one of the pencils to share, 1 pencil each. And then within that team, so each team has 1 pencil, and you have 60 minutes, and then you could allow the 5 students to each have the pencil for 12 minutes. 12 minutes each. Well, that would work. Question comes up, is it fair? Some would argue, well, it is fair. Everybody gets it for 12 minutes. What's your problem? Get it done. Finish your test. Well, the test could take some people longer than 12 minutes. Some people might get done in less time than that. So then you could modify the system. You say, okay, well, why don't we do something maybe based on somebody's GPA, like how well they take tests. Maybe some people don't need the pencil as long. No cheating on the test, by the way. You can't give the answers out to everybody. So it could do that. And so the people who can finish faster get to have the pencils a shorter period of time. And then we help out those who need a little bit more time. So you could break it up that way. You could create a system where you have your 3 teams and 5 students, and you pass the pencil around. Everybody reads ahead on the questions, and then you just keep passing the pencil around to mark the answers and try to remember them as best you can. So there's different ways that you can come up with this situation. You could break the entire class up by grading, what their GPA is or what their grade is in the class or how prepared they think they are. And so maybe you could you could give all the students who need more time 2 pencils in a team, and then another team of students who don't need as much time, give them 1 pencil. And then if they finish early, give that pencil over to the other team. So just different ways that you could come up with as far as distributing the pencils. That was the summary of how this assignment was to go. And so it's always fun to see the different ideas that people come up with, and just a discussion about the whole idea of fairness and how that applies in the economy. There's a lot of that going on right now with this whole COVID-19 and the government distributing money. I mean, some people are getting the stimulus checks who probably really don't need it as much as other people. I know my son Eric, he's not getting anything. Does he need it? Absolutely. He lost his job down at Cuesta College. What is he getting from the government? No. Nothing. No help. My daughter is still waiting on hers, and they still have rent. And so, it's a tough deal. Whereas other people and businesses, large businesses, got their money real fast, and a lot of money. And then there's other small businesses who are still trying to figure out how to get some money to help them survive. So this idea of fairness really is an important issue within the economy at large. And one of the biggest issues is healthcare. The United States has an incredible healthcare system. Available healthcare is very good, but available healthcare and access to healthcare are 2 different things. You have to have money to have access to the healthcare. And so one of the big political issues is this idea of fairness. And should a country take care of its citizens? A lot of programs are quite successful, such as I mentioned the WIC program. Is it a good idea to distribute milk, cheese, bread, and cereal to families with children who otherwise might not be able to afford it? Well, the argument that wins out is, yes, it's a good idea, and discussions about fairness really aren't relevant to the point that we don't like to see children go without milk and go hungry. And if you get selfish about it and say, well, is that still a good idea? Well, the idea is this. If you have a lot of sick people, then you're going to have an overwhelmed healthcare system that can't take care of them. So why not spend the money up front and take care of people? So it's something for you to think about. What role should government play in making life better for its citizens? And should that be the government's responsibility? So think about those as you get ready to leave high school and you're going to start voting soon, and really think about, what do you think is important to society, and what priorities should government have into improving the lives of its citizens? And I'm sorry we couldn't have this conversation in class, because it's always a lot of fun and thought-provoking, and I always enjoy hearing the ideas that you have. So please feel free to send me any feedback you want, any comments. Like I said, you don't have to do a PowerPoint on this. I just wanted to have a nice conversation about it and give you some things to think about. But if you did have any comments, I would love for you to email them to me at any time. And as always, stay well, stay safe. And give my best to your families too.